Hello and welcome back to Jessi FIT Pilates, your home to get fit, toned, and flexible as we strengthen, stretch, and smile. And we will be somewhat stretching today with a foam roller. I've definitely done some actual foam rolls on my channel before, but it's literally been years, and I'm not sure if I've actually done the nubby foam roller. If you have never foam rolled before, you're probably going to want to go with a softer roll. I got this one from Jessi FIT, and you can check out the links and you can get a discount on yours from them. So the nubbies are going to make it a little bit more challenging, or they're going to palpate the muscle tension a little bit more than the smooth roller will. So it can be very intense. Remember, the more weight you put onto the roller as we roll, the more challenging it will be. We're going to focus today on exercises that have to do, or rolls that have to do with your posture. So grab your roller. Also make sure you have a bottle of water. Of course, if you have back, neck, knee, anything like that, injuries like that, you'll want to just be careful with. It doesn't mean you can't do them, but if you feel any sharp shooting pain in your joints, you'll probably want to back off. There's definitely an uncomfortableness to the rolls. You'll probably see it in my face as I go through them on certain sides, but just remember, you're in control of your workout, so listen to how it feels, and if it's too much, just back off. We're going to start with our back. And I pulled my hair over to the side, so hopefully I won't be rolling too much onto my hair. And I'm going to put this right in line with my spine, and I'm going to scoop my hands behind the nape of my neck, and I'm just going to roll from about the base of my neck, not actually onto my neck, all the way down to about below my shoulder blades or so, back from the bottom of my ribs. I'm going to do that a few times, and I'm really not going very fast. I'll see people once in a while, like at the gym, when we go to the gym. I'm filming this in 2021, depending on where you live in the world. Gyms may or may not be open. And you'll want to breathe deep. Now, most of my weight is in my feet. You can see my hips are up. If you keep your hips down, you'll have less weight in the roller. If you keep your hips way up, you'll have a lot more weight. And therefore, it'll increase the amount of pressure you're putting onto your body or into the roller. And again, just going back and forth. We'll do a few more times. Yeah, and I really feel it in my upper back. Bending my knees to come in, and then just gently supporting my head, and then stretching back. Now, I'm going to start to lean to one side. So I'm going to start on what's my left. It's the side that is closest to the camera. And I'm going to kind of focus on the upper shoulder area, which if you're sitting at the desk a lot, you'll probably really feel. And I'm just extending my weight into that shoulder blade kind of area. And I mean, you do want to be careful around the actual bones. Sometimes they roll on them, and sometimes it's just too intense for me. So really, you want to be careful with that. Yeah, and now I found this spot that's really intense, and I'm gonna hold it there and breathe. So find a spot that's really intense. You can even take your hips down, and I'm just gonna kind of go back and forth, just about a centimeter or so on this one spot, around my shoulder blade. Get my hair out of the way so I'm not ripping that over my head. And now I'm going to roll over to the other side. So I'm going to go to the other side. And that's my right. So it's the side that's further away, but that's going to be my right side. I'm actually going to kind of situate myself better so I get more surface area. And this side here, that's my mouse hand, that's my dominant side. Even if you're lefty, I'm not sure if you use the mouse with your left hand, you'll probably feel this a lot. So yeah, there's a lot to work with. There's a lot more tension here. I'm kind of going from the top of that shoulder blade to right about underneath that shoulder blade. Your shoulder blade is kind of that chicken wing bone that's underneath where your arm bone connects. You can Google that. You can hit pause and Google shoulder blade and just see what that looks like. And let's see if I can find a spot with a lot of tension. You see how I'm starting to twist my body weight lower? That's sending more weight into there. Let's find the spot. That shouldn't be too hard. Right here, I'm gonna find the spot and just go back and forth an inch or two. Deep breath there. Feels really intense, just going back and forth on that spot a few more times. Great. Now we're going to twist fully to the side to kind of do lats, which if I recall, this can be really intense. Again, you can always do this with a different sort of band. Now I'm going to come fully onto my side, almost like a fetal position. I'm going to situate the roller sort of underneath my ribs, and we're looking for the lats, so they're kind of run from down here. I mean, they're kind of a big muscle group, but the section that we're going to hit is here. Don't think we're going to be able to hit the whole muscle. And the more weight that you put into here and here into the floor, the less weight it'll be here. The more you lift off of that, the more weight that'll kind of come. So you have to use your hands and your feet combined to kind of get into it. And yeah, there's definitely some intense spots here. Rolling back and forth a few times. And here's a spot that's really just very intense, kind of where my lat connects to my tricep and my chest. There's a whole bunch of muscle groups that connect. And that's sort of a trigger point. So I'm taking my hands up and gentle, guys. See how I put my hip down? I can go here. That's gonna make it really intense. You see how I lifted my hip? And I mean, there's days I can do that, but it almost goes numb. I don't know if that's always good or bad. And yeah, I just extended that arm out and I'm just going back and forth. There's a spot that's really intense. But you see how small that is? Really intense. You can kind of go a little bit more into it, and I'm sending a lot of weight into it now, making it a little bigger. Let's just hold here for a second. And I'm just gonna kind of go twist into that spot a few times. And maybe go up an inch and twist into that spot. Yeah, that lat is definitely tight. And come up an inch and twist a few times. And now I'm just going to do the back of that shoulder since we're here. We're going to get into shoulders more. I'm going to stay facing you, so I'm just going to flip this so you can see me and I'm not turning it back to you. And so this is going to be probably my more intense side. So I have my hands and my feet down. I'm going from where my shoulder connects. And right about here, I found a crazy spot. So I have my hips up. That is a really intense spot. I'm really gonna breathe into it. And then I kind of have my elbow down. And now I'm gonna try to go back and forth. That is intense. Very intense. Just trying to go back and forth. Now I'm gonna do that kind of twisty thing, so I'm gonna twist a few times. Oh geez, that really, whoa. Whoa, I'm gonna go down an inch and twist a few times. And then another inch, and yeah. And now I'm gonna kind of roll that out. Really small. I really feel that. And I'm just sitting there with pressure. I mean, it's getting into my neck a little bit from holding it up, so you can just take your hand kind of here. Deep breath. I'm gonna try to go back and forth one other time or two, slowly. I really feel these. And I'm gonna let that go. And what I want to get into, so a lot of times like that kind of tension I have there, believe it or not, that's from being here and that muscle is overstretched. Generally, most of us really need to loosen here. And this next one, you may want to do this on a softer one. I might be crazy for doing this on a harder one, but I've been doing this one for quite some time and it's had a huge impact. So first, you're going to want to come down. So you'll need a certain amount of mobility to get into this. I think if you're not that mobile, you might be able to put this like on a table and do this on a table. They put your roller on a table, but it has to be a table that can sustain quite a bit of your weight. So I'm in child's pose. You will need to be able to get into child's pose to do this. You can pad your knees if you need to. And I'm gonna take the roller to the front of my chest. And first I'm gonna roll my chest and the front of my shoulder. And even just there, that's intense. And then I'm gonna adjust it because I really want this, like the roller, like one of the nubs to be on my chest muscle, if that makes sense. And I'm gonna hold it here. I'm gonna make a fist and really stretch my arm, and I'm gonna make an angel wing. I'm gonna make sure I'm on the camera. I'm gonna make this angel wing slow, and at the top there, I really feel it on this one. Do a few more here. Really feel that. And you can adjust, like right now I'm putting a lot of weight in, you come up, that'll be a little bit. And now after about 3, I'm gonna roll it onto a different area of the chest, right? Your chest is a really big muscle, and try a few there. And then I'm gonna come to an even different spot and try a few there. Really feel these. And one more, almost in my boob. And one more like this. And then I'm just gonna roll back and forth a few more times, break it up. And then I'll go on to the other side. Do a few little shoulder rolls there. And then I'll come here. Child's pose. Set the roller down. come onto it. This is my right side. I imagine this is going to be a little extra pickly. And I'm just going back and forth on that shoulder. Yeah, and there's this one like knot. So I'm actually going to hold that knot. Yeah, and that's where I'm going to try the first round. It's going to probably be quite challenging. Reaching out, up, out, down. Reaching out, down. I'm going to move an inch and then out, down, out, up. I really feel these. Move another inch. Really breaking up those knots. And then taking it one more. Last one. And I'm just going to do a few rolls. Yeah, I really feel this. This is great if you sit at the desk a lot. And now we're going to move on to, let's do calves first. So you will need a certain amount of upper body. I mean, of course you can just do it with your butt kind of dragging on the floor. That's probably not going to be super intense. Cross one ankle over the other, lift your hips up, and then you can really get into those calf muscles. Right, I'm going to actually put this foot down because I found a really intense spot. And I'm just going to kind of play around with it. See, I'm putting one foot there. Really intense spot. It's quite a bit of upper body work staying up here. You can always come down. Put that foot down like I just did. Now, I was a little bit more on the inside of that calf. Now I was more on the outside, going down to the inside. Just hold in one of those kind of sticky spots and go back and forth a few times. My calves are a disaster. I walk around New York in the concrete a lot. Okay, gently sit down. I'm just going to shake out my wrists a little bit. Definitely a little much on the wrist. And then the other side. So cross the ankle. You can try a few kind of sitting. Now I'm lifting my hips and going back and forth. This leg definitely seems a little less intense than the other one. And I'm going to find this spot that's a little intense and just hold there. And then I'm going to settle on down. Take a big stretch for a moment. And let's try, hamstrings can be a little rough because they're really deep. Like I have a layer of fat there. I mean, most women do. So a lot of times you need a ball or like a softball or some kind of like tennis ball to kind of get hamstrings. But you might be able to get it, especially if it's like for the first time. I might not feel these that much, but same principle. Yeah, like I don't feel these too much. This isn't very intense. It feels nice, but it doesn't feel like it's really getting that deep into the muscle. I'll do the other side quick. You really need a soft ball for those because they're just kind of deep in there. And let's go for some glutes. So I've sat on the roller and I'm just like, if you know what, it's gonna go from the top of the hip to the fold where my thigh and my butt kind of meet, and I'm kind of on my side. And this foot is on the floor right now, but if I take it off, I'll have a little more weight. And definitely feeling these. And as you can see, I'm kind of rotating around in different spots. Using my hands quite a bit here to help. Found a spot that's definitely tight. I'm going to hold there. Breathe. Side, just tilting over, and just from the bottom to the top of that hip and glute. Going back and forth. Now I'm gonna I found like a little spot that I'm just gonna focus on. And finally, we're going to do IT band, which many of you probably know and either love or hate. IT band runs from your knee to the hip, which can be very challenging on the nubby roller. You can always, back it up with two legs. I don't run, and this leg is not that challenging. I found kind of a spot. I'll do one or two more. You want to find the spot, especially if you like T-bands, especially if you're a runner, that's kind of like the sticky point, the trigger point, and that's it for me. I'm just going to stay there. And I'm gonna go for the other side now. Stay facing you. So on the side, kind of crossing my leg for support. And this side's definitely more intense than right. And I can stack, which will put more weight on. And then on my right side, it's definitely higher towards the hip. So I'm gonna hold one of these higher spots and just kind of go back and forth. And done a few deep breaths, definitely intense at the top. And finally, I'm gonna move on to hip flexors and quads. I'm gonna do it like this, so hopefully you can see what's going on with my feet. Definitely more of a challenge. So on this one, it's gonna be hard for me to do both at the same time. I can do a few where I'm both at the same time from my knee all the way to the top of my hip. But they likely won't be intense enough. So I'm gonna cross one ankle over the other, and I'm gonna shift to that side. We get into the center more, and just go from knee to hip. And as you can see, I use my arms quite a bit. And maybe find a sticky spot here, which for me is a little bit closer to the quad. And just stay there and breathe into it. And then I'll shift to the other side, ankle over the knee. Or ankle over other ankle. From the knee to the hip. And I'm going to find a spot here, which is a little bit higher on the hip, and I'm just going to hold and breathe. And I'm going to come on off, and I hope you enjoyed this foam roller session. If you have any questions, you can type them in the box below. You can grab this in the links, and you can also check out the blog and my free ebook in the links as well. I'm so happy you're here. Thanks so much. See you next time.